ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here Lord Kapila is explaining, after one attains the knowledge which is required for self-realization, one should act on the platform of that knowledge. So, this is very important. How one should act is also explained here. Material consciousness is a polluted consciousness. And it exists on three different levels in our material conception of life. When we are awake, then consciousness works in a certain way. When we are asleep, when we are sleeping and we are dreaming, consciousness is working in another way. When we are deep asleep, there are no dreams. Consciousness works in different way. Say for example, when we are awake, how do we act? We see the objects of this material world, we see people of this material world, and we identify them with their bodies, with their material coverings. He is a man, she is a woman, this is a dog, right? We see with material vision, and we identify the people and objects from their material covering. When we are sleeping and when we are dreaming, grossly the consciousness looks like it is inactive, but actually it is still active. In the material world, when we are awake, our gross senses are working, and when we are sleeping, subtle senses are working. That is the only difference. When I am seeing, when I am awake, my eyes, it is giving the input to the mind, and I identify certain object. Let us say, for example, a boy is walking and a girl is walking. The boy sees a girl and his senses sends a signal, and let us say he is attracted or he looks at the woman. So this is while he is awake. Senses, gross senses are working. With the eyes, we are seeing an object, and then the signal is sent to the mind, and that is how we perceive. The person becomes lusty, or he looks at the woman. Let us say he is sleeping. His gross senses are not working, his eyes are closed. But then in the subconscious mind, he sees an object. He is seeing, I have become a king, I have got a palace, right? So he is still seeing with subtle senses. He is still identifying. Sometimes he is thinking that there is a tiger which is chasing behind him and he is running out of fear. Correct? So his consciousness is still active. When we are awake with senses and mind, and when we are sleeping with subtle senses, mind, intelligence, consciousness is still active. And it is still impure consciousness. When we are deep in the sleep, no dreaming, that time the consciousness is covered. It is active, but it is covered. It is just like you take anesthesia and you are getting operated by the doctor. You don't realize the pain at that time because your consciousness is cut off. But very soon, when the anesthesia effect is over, you start getting that pain. Similarly, deep sleep is like that anesthesia, wherein there is no dreaming, you are not awake. Consciousness is practically suspended for some time. You do not know what is happening. Some sound is coming somewhere, somebody is stealing, we are in deep sleep. Do not know. Isn't it? So, this is how material consciousness exists on 3 different levels: sleeping, awake, and deep sleep. And it is impure consciousness. It is not purified, it is materially contaminated consciousness. When a person is awakened in spiritual knowledge, seemingly he is also having sleep, he is also awake, he also goes to deep sleep. But in all these 3 stages, his consciousness is not affected by matter. This is the difference. Let us say the same example. When a person is Krishna conscious and he sees another living entity, it may be a boy, it may be a girl, it may be an animal, his perception, his vision is completely different. In material polluted consciousness, a person is always trying to seek gratification, enjoyment in another object. How I can enjoy this object? This is polluted consciousness. But when a purified person, when he looks at the different objects of this material world, his perception is totally different. He sees every living entity as part and parcel of Krishna. and he understands it is not meant for my enjoyment. If everything is part and parcel of Krishna, it is meant for his enjoyment. How can I enjoy somebody else's property? That is his vision. Similarly, because while in awakening state, he is fully Krishna conscious, in his subconscious mind also, when he goes to sleep, his mind has become cleared of all dirty contaminations. So even in dreams, he is Krishna conscious. He sees only in relation to Krishna. That is very nicely the condition of pure devotees like the gopis is very beautifully described in Bhagavatam. How they spent their time completely being absorbed in Krishna. This is something which we can learn from them. When Krishna is present before their eyes, they are absorbed in Krishna. And when Krishna is absent, Krishna has gone far away for herding the cows to the pasture grounds, to Govardhan hill. That time, the gopis are still absorbed in thinking of Krishna. When Krishna is present, they are absorbed in the beauty of Krishna. When Krishna is absent, they are absorbed in separation from Krishna. So practically, there is no time in the life of gopis where they could forget Krishna. For us, Rupa Goswami has said, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. But for us, it's quite difficult. We have to strain ourselves to remember Krishna. Isn't it? Whereas for the gopis, for the pure devotees, it is natural to think of Krishna in all conditions of life. So this is a song from the gopis. It is called Gopi Geet, where they are expressing their mind to Krishna. So in one of the prayers, they are saying this: Chalasi yad vrajat charayan pashun nalina sundaram nathate padam shilatrinankurai sidati naha kalilatam manaha kanta gacchati. So they are saying to Krishna, you know how much we are saddened when you go out of Vrindavan village to tend the cows in the forest. Chalasi yad vrajat charayan pashun. When you take the cows for herding outside of Vrindavan and you are not visible to us at that time. So we are very saddened by that. Nalina sundaram nathate padam. My dear Lord, your feet are much, much softer than even the rose petals. more softer than even the lotus flower. So that is what they are. Nalina sundaram nathate padam. And that is why we are so worried. Shila trina ankuraihi sidati tinaha. We are always thinking that such lotus feet, which are more softer than even the lotus petals, they are being pricked in the forest with shila, with some kind of pebbles, trina, with some kind of grass, ankuraihi, with some kind of thorns. So we are always remembering that. How we are afflicted simply to think that your soft lotus feet are being pricked by the dry grass, tiny stones in the forest. We are so attached to you that we always think simply of your lotus feet. So when Krishna has gone out of Vrindavan, their mind is fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna, how he must be walking, how his feet are being pricked, and they are feeling that pain. And then in the next shloka, they are saying, Dina parikshaye Neelakuntale Vanaruhananam Bibrat Avratam Ghanarajaswalam Darshayan Muhur Manasinahas Smaram Virayachasi. So they are saying, Dina parikshaye, when the dawn comes, when day is nearly getting over and you are returning back to Vrindavan, Neelakuntale Vana Ruha Anan. Your beautiful face is covered with Neelakuntale, dark colored hairs. O Krishna, when you return from the pasturing ground with the animals, we see your face covered by your curly hairs. And how it becomes more beautified? Ghana Rajaswalam. Because of the cow's hoofs, the dust is raised. Raja. Ghana Raja. So it thickly gets deposited on your hairs and it looks more beautiful. Ghana Rajaswalam Darshayan Muhur. Your curly hairs and dusted by the hoof dust of the cows, we see your mildly smiling face and our desire to enjoy increases. So this is how the gopis are always meditating on Krishna. When Krishna comes back, they are personally absorbed in the beauty of Krishna, and when Krishna is not present, they are absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. So we can see here that their consciousness is completely purified. All the times they are thinking of Krishna. So Prabhupada is explaining here that how the devotee of the Lord, he is able to see Krishna everywhere. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a verse which explains about the vision of a Mahabhagavata devotee. Sthavara jangama dekhi na dekhi tara murti. When a pure devotee, when a Mahabhagavata devotee of the Lord, when he sees anything, sthavara, jangama, sthavara means staying at one place. Jangama means moving. So whether moving or non-moving, it's like this table is non-moving. Living entities are moving. And even in living entities, there are trees which stand at one place, they do not move. So, na dekhi tara murti. Mahabhagavata does not identify them with their dress. Then what does he see? He sees that everything is connected to Krishna. Everything is connected to Krishna. When he sees matter in this world, just like this material body, he understands this belongs to Krishna. When he sees the living entity Atma, he understands it is nothing but part and parcel of Krishna. Because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has proclaimed, matter is also my energy, spirit is also my energy. Mame vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Bhumi rapo nalavayu khama mana buddhire vacha. Correct? Krishna says, Bhinna prakriti me ashtada. This is my energy. This is my separated energy. And then Krishna also says that there is another energy, superior energy to this. Yayedam jhariyate jagat. Isn't it? So, Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho. Another energy of Krishna is living entity. So when a pure devotee sees, he immediately sees that matter is also his energy and spirit is also his energy. So he immediately remembers Krishna. And in Brahma Samhita, it is explained because of his eyes being smeared with love of God, pure devotee sees Krishna outside and inside, everywhere he sees Krishna. Isn't it? Just like out of love, if the son has gone away from the mother just by seeing some item of the child immediately remembers the child. Isn't it? Imagine the child is in London, he has gone to America somewhere, and in the house the mother sees shirt of his son. Immediately she is not seeing the shirt, she is seeing the child, her son. So if it is materially possible, imagine how much it is spiritually possible. That a devotee, Mahabhagavata devotee, purified devotee, does not see externals. He sees everything connected to Krishna. That is the vision. That is what Lord Kapila is saying. This is what we have to practice. Knowledge should not be theoretical. I am spirit soul, Krishna is Supreme Lord. Right? I am not Brahmana, I am not Vaishya, I am not Shudra. But when it comes to practical circumstances, we don't act on that platform. Isn't it? So, knowledge should not be just theoretical. It should be practiced with realization. That is what is being said here. So, previous verse, if you see, once seeing power should be increased through knowledge of spirit and matter. So one should have that knowledge, what is spirit, what is matter. One should not unnecessarily identify himself with the body and becomes attracted to bodily relationships. Isn't it? So one should not identify himself. Once we understand I am spirit soul, then practically we should not be attached to something which are connected to the body, bodily relationships. That is a practical understanding. And in today's class, today's verse, one should be situated in transcendental position beyond the stages of material consciousness, should be aloof from all other conceptions of life. This is very important. Prabhupada is saying, when a devotee is fully absorbed in Krishna, then he can be aloof from all conceptions of life. This is called Duri Bhutanayah Darshanaha, which means that when one attains perfect Krishna consciousness, he does not see anything but Krishna. So there is a very nice example about Prahlad Maharaj, which is given in Bhagavatam. How he saw everything with perfect Krishna consciousness vision. He does not see anything else than Krishna. So very nicely it is explained. In one of the shlokas, it is explained, when one is influenced by evil stars like Rahu or Ketu, he cannot make advancement in any prospective activity. Anything you take up, any endeavor you take up, you will fail. When one is influenced by, evil planets or stars like Rahu and Ketu, correct? We say that. So, for a devotee like Prahlad, it is said, in just the opposite way, Prahlad Maharaj was influenced by Krishna, the supreme planet. Thus, he could not think of material world and live without Krishna consciousness. Just like when a material person is influenced by Rahu and Ketu, he cannot do anything, just he can be completely miserable in material condition of life. Similarly, when a devotee is influenced by Krishna, he can only see Krishna and nothing else, even in the material world. Prabhupada explains in the purport, even if one is an enemy of Krishna, Mahabhagavata sees him to be engaged in Krishna's service. See? It's like Prahlad Maharaj or pure devotees. They're always thinking that actually I am not engaged in Krishna's service. But even Kamsa is engaged. Even Shishupala is engaged in the service of the Lord. Even though actually they are enemies of Krishna. This is the vision of a Mahabhagavata. And then Prabhupada is giving another very beautiful example. Another crude example is given. Everything appears yellow to the person who is having jaundice. Correct? In Hindi it is called pilia. Pilia means everything is yellowish for him when a person is suffering from jaundice. Isn't it? Similarly, for a Mahabhagavata, everyone is engaged in the service of the Lord. So his vision is completely Krishna conscious. He sees everything with that vision. So, very beautiful example about Prahlad Maharaj is said, Naisargiki Ratihi, that he had natural attachment for Krishna. And how do we know he had natural attachment for Krishna? There are symptoms. For a child to play is natural in this material world. But Prahlad Maharaj was so much attracted to Krishna that he was not even attracted, even in his childhood, to any kind of play. He would not waste his time playing, which shows that how he was completely Krishna conscious even from his childhood. Although Prahlad Maharaj was only a boy, he had no interest in playing. As it is said in Bhagavatam, Viraktir Anyatracha, symptoms of perfect Krishna consciousness is one loses interest in all material activities. This is the symptom of one advanced in Krishna consciousness. He has no more interest in any material activities. For a small boy to give up playing is impossible. Correct? For a small boy to give up playing, it is actually impossible. But Prahlad Maharaj, being situated in first class devotional service, was always absorbed in trance of Krishna consciousness. Just like material person is absorbed in thoughts of material gain, Mahabhagavata, like Prahlad, is absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. And then it is said very beautifully, devotee sees everyone, everything in relationship with Narayana. Narayanam ayam dhiraha pashyanti paramarthinaha jagat dhananmayam lubdhaha kamakuha kaminmayam. So very good example is given. Devotee sees everyone and everything in relationship with Narayana, just as those who are greedy sees everything as a source of money making, those who are lusty see everything for their lusty desires. Prahlad saw Narayana even within a column. Correct. So we see when Hiranyakashipu asked him, is your Lord present in this pillar? So Prahlad Maharaj replied, yes, my dear Lord is present even in this pillar. And then Hiranyakashipu wanted to break that pillar to kill Lord Narasimha. So then Narasimha actually came out from that pillar. As Prahlad Maharaj had said that yes, my Lord is present even in the pillar. Isn't it? So, very beautiful example is given. Greedy man always is thinking of opportunity for making money. Lusty man sees everything for his sense gratification, for his lusty desire. Similarly, pure devotee like Prahlad Maharaj, he can see Krishna everywhere. So, this is the vision of a pure devotee of the Lord, which is being explained in today's verse. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.